Hey everyone, if you're investing in US tech stocks or honestly just tracking the massive AI and semiconductor wave, you are absolutely in the right place today. Look, I'm going to save you 2 grueling hours of sifting through dense financial reports and earnings call transcripts right now. We're going to completely decode ARM's secret master plan, how they're literally plotting to steal data center market share right out from under the legacy x86 giants. This isn't your average summary, guys. We're talking about the fundamental, ground-level shifts that will actually impact your portfolio.
So let's jump right in. The big takeaway here is how ARM, the invisible architect behind basically every mobile phone on Earth, is physically moving in to take over the AI server space. For years, they just sold the blueprints, right? Well, now they're pouring the concrete. It is a wild pivot, and it's completely reshaping the physical backbone of the internet as we know it.
All right, Section 1, the smartphone cache mode.
To really grasp how they're pulling off this crazy transition, we've got to look at what I call their smokescreen. You see, the overall smartphone market, which has always been ARM's bread and butter, is stalling out. People are holding onto their phones longer, so growth is pretty weak. But despite that, ARM is absolutely shattering their revenue records. The numbers speak for themselves. By Q4 of 2026, they hit a record $1.49 billion in revenue. That's their third straight year of over 20% growth. In the semiconductor IP world, where you're usually just collecting pennies on the dollar for tolls, keeping up that kind of momentum means something deep within their business structure has fundamentally changed. And here is exactly how they're doing it: the ARM v9 architecture. Basically, ARM is protecting its cash flow by choosing quality over quantity. Even with phone sales flatlining, today's premium phones need vastly more complex blueprints to handle on-device AI. So ARM charges a massive premium for these advanced v9 blueprints. Think of it like a car company, right? They might be selling fewer cars overall, but every single car rolling off the lot is a fully loaded luxury model with a massive markup.
Moving on to Section 2, the traffic cop of AI data centers.
So, ARM's data center royalty revenue has completely exploded, more than doubling year over year. To picture why this is happening, let's use a quick analogy. Imagine a data center is a huge, chaotic restaurant kitchen. The GPU, that's your hyper-focused specialist chef. They're doing the really intense, heavy-lifting math to train AI models. But the CPU, that's your traffic cop, or the expediter. It coordinates all the little subtasks, manages the memory, and makes absolutely sure the specialist chef has the exact ingredients they need at the exact right second.
Now here is where things get crazy. We are entering this massive paradigm shift known as Agentic AI. We're no longer just humans asking a chatbot one simple question. Instead, we've got autonomous AI agents running continuously in the background 24/7. They're talking to other agents, writing code, executing these massive multi-step workflows. And because these orders literally never stop coming in, that traffic cop CPU role, it's becoming infinitely more demanding.
Which brings us to Section 3, the $100 billion hardware pivot.
So, if these traffic cops are becoming the ultimate bottleneck in our kitchen, why on earth is ARM still just handing over the blueprints so someone else can make all the profit? Well, here's the plot twist. They aren't anymore. They are finally building the physical silicon themselves. The financial ripple effect of this agentic AI bottleneck is just staggering. ARM actually projects that data center CPU capacity demand could quadruple. That pushes the total addressable market for these coordination chips to a jaw-dropping $100 billion by 2030. Without this layer, the entire AI boom just hits a wall.
We are talking about a $100 billion pie just waiting to be claimed. Now, if you want to keep getting the latest news on US stocks, you can subscribe to my channel. I update every week. Okay, so with that kind of insane money on the table, let's look at the actual physical hardware ARM is dropping onto the data center floor to capture this market. Say hello to the ARM AGI CPU. ARM is teaming up with Meta to build custom physical hardware loaded with 136 processing cores. This thing promises double the performance per rack compared to your standard legacy x86 platforms from the older guys. And here is the truly genius part. They are partnering with companies like Supermicro and Lenovo to ship these as finished, plug-and-play server racks. You literally just roll it onto the data center floor, plug it into the wall, and turn it on.
But you might be wondering, why do we need to cram 136 cores into a single CPU? Well, it all comes down to the laws of physics, specifically something called the reticle limit. Think of chip manufacturing a bit like printing a photo from a negative. The reticle limit is simply the maximum physical area a chip can cover before the optical lenses in the manufacturing machines start distorting the pattern. GPUs have physically maxed out their size.
They literally can't get any bigger. So to handle this insane, nonstop Agentic AI workload without just melting down, the coordination layer has to scale up by packing hundreds of super-efficient CPU cores close together.
All right, Section 4, the software ecosystem land grab.
Now, logically, you're probably thinking, wait, won't huge clients like AWS, Google, and Microsoft be completely furious that ARM is suddenly a direct hardware competitor? Surprisingly, no. Before they even launched this, ARM actually sat down with AWS, Google, and NVIDIA, and they all gave it the green light. Why? Because this is a massive software land grab. By selling these plug-and-play racks to mid-tier companies who don't have the budget to build their own chips, ARM is drastically expanding the number of users running natively on ARM architecture. It essentially forces software developers everywhere to optimize their code for ARM, which in turn makes the custom ARM servers over at AWS and Google inherently more valuable.
So how exactly can they afford this massive pivot into physical manufacturing without totally tanking their operating expenses? It's basically a financial cheat code. Look, the absolute most expensive part of chip development is figuring out the underlying architectural math, but ARM's traditional IP licensing business has already paid for those blueprints. That completely subsidizes their new physical hardware line. Because of this, they're projecting operating profitability by fiscal year 2028, targeting $15 billion in hardware revenue and a non-GAAP EPS of over $9.
And honestly, the market response has been completely unprecedented. Just 6 weeks after they announced the AGI CPU, customer demand for the upcoming fiscal years literally doubled. It skyrocketed from an initial estimate of $1 billion to over $2 billion. Customers are essentially banging on their doors with open wallets.
But here is the brutal supply chain reality check we have to talk about. Even with $2 billion in demand, ARM is legally forced to keep their official forecast at $1 billion. Why is that? Because you simply can't copy and paste physical silicon in the real world. They are running into massive global bottlenecks across the board, from procuring raw memory to TSMC wafer fabrication and, most crucially, advanced packaging equipment. That's the highly complex, super expensive machinery needed to actually stitch the silicon together. The physical world just couldn't keep up with the numbers on their spreadsheet.
Finally, Section 5, the AI-triggered energy crisis. As we zoom out from the purely financial metrics, we really have to look at the harsh physical limitations of this supercycle. Deploying millions of these incredibly dense 136-core server racks all over the globe just to manage endless 24/7 agentic AI chatter, it places an absolutely astronomical strain on the global power grid. We are essentially building massive, sprawling cities of silicon that never, ever sleep. If these traffic cops never get to clock out, the energy draw is going to push our global infrastructure to its absolute breaking point.
Which leaves us with a really provocative thought to end on today. We might genuinely be heading toward a future where these massive data centers require their own dedicated nuclear reactors just to keep the coordination layer humming along. So what do you think? Who is going to step up and build the power infrastructure for these AI silicon cities? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next explainer.